Hello, Cornerstone. This is Pastor Roger. It is Tuesday, April 14th. This is a quick update and a word of encouragement for you. First of all, thank you so much for your prayers in the last week. For those of you who are praying for me and for our family, I want you to know I'm feeling much better. In fact, I would say the respiratory sickness that I was fighting seems like it has run its course, and I'm feeling much better. Just to be safe, I plan to isolate at home with the family or on a drive, as you can see, and work from home for the next week. So if I keep my social distance, please don't be offended. It's because I love you, and it's because those are the times that we're in right now. So again, thank you for your prayers and thank you for the encouragement. And I hope today to pass on a word of encouragement to you as well. I've talked to more than one person here in the last week who would say they're growing weary of our current circumstances. And I would echo that sentiment. It makes sense to me that we would be eager to get back to familiarity and some level of normalcy in the way that we do things. We would like to go back to life and work and ministry and home life in a way that's familiar. But right now, we know that God is on the throne and that He has us in a set of circumstances that are for our good and for His glory. And I was thinking about how God often uses circumstances like this to do good to us and to advance His church and to build His kingdom. We've said before that our circumstances may have changed, but the mission of the church hasn't changed. And I was thinking about the early church in the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 1, just before Jesus ascends to heaven, he's giving his disciples their marching orders, and he tells them in verse 8 that you'll receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Now, for the next several chapters, the disciples stay in Jerusalem. They're busy, they're at work, but Jesus' words haven't come to fruition yet until after Acts chapter 7. Now, in Acts chapter 7, a disciple named Stephen has an opportunity to preach a message to the Sanhedrin, and by our standards, that was not well received. They actually stoned Stephen to death in response to the message that he preached, and that stoning was overseen by Saul of Tarsus. And immediately following that, a violent persecution broke out against the church. Now, those early Christians, those early disciples had to be wondering what's going on. And a similar question to what some of us may be asking, how long is this going to last? Lord, what are you up to? And how does this fit in with us accomplishing the mission of the church? Well, if we read on into Acts chapter 8, we see that Saul gave his approval to Stephen's stoning. On that day, a great persecution broke out against the church in Jerusalem. All except the apostles were scattered throughout Judea and Samaria. Now that's interesting because Jesus had told them, you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and the ends of the earth. So little did they know, the persecutors of the church, when they thought they were stomping out a fire, they were actually kicking the sparks into the wind. And the flame spread as these ordinary Christians, notice it wasn't necessarily the apostles, but these ordinary, everyday Christians were scattered, and they kept preaching the gospel. They kept declaring the good news where they went, and the church was growing, and the kingdom was being built. Now, they were certainly in a set of circumstances that they wouldn't have signed up for. And they probably couldn't see how God was accomplishing his purposes and fulfilling what he promised to get done through those circumstances. Church, I want to encourage you that the same God is on the throne now. And we don't know exactly what he's doing. We don't know how long it's going to last. And I don't claim to have any special insight, but here's what I do know. God has uniquely put us in a position where we can and should continue to display and declare the gospel in our current circumstances. We have a unique opportunity to point to the hope of Jesus Christ and what he's accomplished for us. And we're interacting with people who are fearing death, fearing financial impact of this crisis, folks who are anxious, folks who are bored. All of these are occasions for us to preach the gospel and hold out the hope of Jesus Christ and the sufficiency of him. So let's do that, church. Our circumstances have changed, but the mission of the church hasn't changed. I hope you're encouraged by that. I hope you're looking for ways to be focused on that and enjoying engaging in the mission in our current circumstances. And like you, I'm praying that our circumstances will be back to what we've known to be normal soon, and really hoping that we get to see each other sooner rather than later. I miss you, and I'm praying for you. God bless.